Hello YouTubers out there, monumental day at the shop. Me and my friend Tim dropping in the engine. So here you can see it's just about to descend in a moment or two, but just thought I'd take a picture of it. We just have to straighten it out, and with this great tool called the load leveler, it's going to angle the engine into the transmission nicely. So anyways, there we go. Hello out there YouTubers, this is NHRA 1975. It's June 3rd, 2017. I haven't made a video in quite a long time. I'll probably maybe add some clips in, maybe even something before this, just to explain what happened with trying to put this engine in. We initially tried to install it like at the end of March, and I had quite a few problems that have tripped me up along the way, but now it's in, and things are looking up. So the clip I'll probably put in just before this. Everything looked good when the engine was just about to be dropped in, but when it dropped in, that's when the trouble started. The transmission mount didn't line up. I'm going to just put pictures in of what went on to explain it. Secondly, the headers didn't fit, so I had to remove some head bolt washers, as well as remove material from the bottom of the headers. And again, I'll put a little picture into what had to be done. But the big thing for the engine misalignment was I had to actually get those, I don't know if you can see them down there, the frame mounts placed, and then I tack welded them in, and also used the crane here and adjusted the engine to where it fit the mounts. But then the engine also had to be level, and then a chassis builder friend recommended me that I just tack weld the frame mounts in, and we could then use these nice solid mounts down there. Again, I'll insert pictures. But yeah, that was a big problem, and we finally got that in. So the engine's now straight and fairly level. So I think maybe before it was in maybe misaligned a bit. Maybe that's what caused the crack in the bell housing. I don't know, but with the solid mounts there will be no movement. I'm also using a rubber mount, of course. So that was one of the first big problems. The second problem was the headers, and I just went through that. So the headers fit, and thirdly, this. I had a low car pedal set up, and I was just finding that when I was adjusting it, it wasn't staying. I had problems years before with the low car setup. It is nice in some ways, but I've actually lost a few rounds in bracket racing because of it, because I couldn't get it adjusted properly to let go, and all of a sudden, you dial in. I think it was probably, I'm running 790s in the 8th, and then all of a sudden I'm running 801 or something like that. Like, it dropped off quite a bit because the pedal wasn't opening all the way. So I've gone to a solid link setup, but that wasn't everything. This took a lot of fabrication. My neighbor helped me with this, and we used a theory called the bell crank, and we finally, it took time as well. And it's got threaded rod down there. Not threaded rod, that's 3/8 hex aluminum, and then with fine threaded rod in there, and then your Heim joints. This here is actually a competition engineering kit, but down below I used use a linkage from, I don't know if you can see it, it should really have a light. Well, you can see it there. There's a linkage there for the low car actual pedal setup, which isn't bad, but again, you had to modify that, and that was not the easiest thing in the world, people. Anyways, but now I have a properly functioning throttle setup. It doesn't go anywhere. I mean, that's all solid. That's serious. All right, so also I kind of cheated a bit, and I know I was kind of bashing low car, but low car does have some nice stuff. I went with a flexible dipstick with the low car, because with that, you can see it down there, with the trans shield, it makes it difficult to use just your stock pedal. So I did cheat, and I used one low car piece there. I mean, I tend to like to not have to buy stuff, but just for reduce the aggravation. So those are some of the major things. As well, there were some problems with this starter. This starter I have, the throw on it isn't really the greatest. So I was having problems with that. So I just ended up using the GM style mini starter I have. But this here, someone told me the problem is with a new starter, sometimes the brushing needs to be working and you don't get the proper throw, but this is what I've been doing, so check it out. So this is the setup. I mean, most of you guys know what I'm doing here. So my hope is that that's going to, you know, loosen this thing up so I'll get a proper throw. Because what's happening, this wasn't touching the flex plate as well. I was only getting about 1/8 of an inch engagement in here. So maybe that's going to increase the throw that since I've broken in the starter and worn various components, this throw might be catching. Because I'll show you in a minute. I mean, the GM style mini starter I have, it turns it over, but I'm sure it'll burn it up because it's a heavy load. Like, this is going to be, I don't know what the cranking compression, but it's probably like 215. You can tell it's starting to go. But anyway, so as with any, you know, most of you guys are into cars, and you know you're going to have problems. It's just the way she goes. Like, that's what Ray from Trailer Park Boys says. That's the way she goes. But you know, you just got to be determined, and you'll get over it. And then there'll be stuff that isn't so bad, like all these brackets, everything I put on. That's a lot. That went pretty smooth. Like, I had this before. This is an Allen Grove setup, and it's pretty trick and doesn't throw belts. So if any of you guys are wondering for an alternative solution, because they didn't like Billet Specialties or something, make something, but they want a lot of money for that. The Allen Grove stuff's just your basic metal, but it's well engineered, well designed. As long as you use the proper alternator. That's it's a CS series alternator off like I think like a 85 or like the TBI 454s. But anyways, and then I have a Victor Jr. water pump here, Edelbrock. So actually, I got this after I blew my inspection cover off. I was racing somewhere, and the cover didn't blow. The gasket went, but don't ever touch that, guys. Leave that alone. Even if you think you're upgrading by putting a small little wheel, some sort of upgrade thing in there, they don't seal very well. And I remember I was in the staging, it just blew up in my face. Well, not my face, but the whole thing went in the windshield. Embarrassing. Anyways, tidbit. So yeah, as you can tell, it's all together. The electrics. You're going to hear some sounds you never heard on this video, like the engine actually turning over. Didn't like it, as you can tell. It's a little weak on the starter. Here's that the Holly fuel pump sound we all like to hear. And yeah, there's a problem with it. I have to I'm going to do that today, but some of the bowls here, the accelerator pump around there is leaking. I think I may have ruptured the that bladder. Just because what happened when I was testing the... Shut this off. Oh look, a horn. When I was testing the throttle linkage, I think I may have overextended the throttle quite a few times, and as a warning, you can rupture this piece in here if you overextend it and mess with it too much. And secondly, there's somewhere in the metering block that might be kind of gouged a bit. I took it all apart a few years ago, and this metering block was stuck. That was stuck like glue. It didn't go anywhere, and you know, you try to be very careful not to scratch it, but I think I did. So I'm gonna have to just take it off again. I have other gaskets. I'm gonna just put them on, and hopefully that cures that problem. Just today, I'm just gonna put the evac system on. So that's just a piece that goes here. Oh, most of you racing guys know what I'm talking about. This is like a poor man's vacuum pump. If you can see down below, that's the fitting it's got to go to. See where the hose touches? I mean, the theory of that is it just at a certain RPM, the way that piece is in the header, it pulls all the junk out and reduces ring I think it reduces excessive oil and everything. It comes in handy, but that only really works at low RPM. So I bought, for the most time, like when I'm just cruising around, I'll cut this and plug it. But yeah, I mean, it's all together. As you heard, the electrics work. You heard it turn over. Yeah, so really, we are supposed to bring it out to my friend's house today and break it in, but we couldn't borrow a truck today to tow it. I have a flat tow set up, like most you drag racing guys know what I'm talking about back in the day. So I have these tabs. I have the whole freewheeling hubs and everything. So it's tow capable. It is a pain in the neck changing all the tires and everything, but it gets me there. So yeah, I mean, it's coming along, guys, and hopefully, you know, maybe this month I can actually get out and get some test and tune time, just some test hits. I'd like to race this year for sure. So, you know, B00 take 00, as the song says. But yeah, it's all functioning. So there's the lights, there's the electric, there's my auxiliary fan. I'm not going to turn the ignition on because I don't want to start it, and there's a certain break-in procedure that has to be done. But yeah, there's all the interior of this thing too. I just got to cover up where the wiring is here. I have some plates back there. But you know, radio, I mean, this was kind of more a street car when it started, but I might keep the radio in. It has this old speaker back there. I mean, this doesn't really make any sense for weight, but it doesn't sound that bad, I think. I'll come back. Let's see here, tuner FM. That's not a station.
A town.
Oh, here. So actually, I don't know. I might keep it, you know, to keep me going in the pits. I got a song I like to play that gets you zoned in for racing. So, you know, it's actually pretty good. My friend gave me that speaker like, you know, 20 years ago. Anyways.
What's cracking? It's like.
So anyways, guys, Maybe I'll do a complete tour of the car at some point. But for now, yeah. Anyways, I just want to show you. So there is progress. There is some. It's gonna happen. So no more bellying, guys. All right. Talk to you later.